Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lumpin Vashum. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 25th of May. India to ask Pakistan to freeze assets of Hafiz, Saeed and Dawood Ibrahim. Reconstruction next challenge as Nepal prays to mark 1 month of deadly earthquake. And India reels under acute heat wave as death toll crosses 500. And now for all the details. Pakistan President Mamnoon Hussein's son Salman Hussein survived a bomb attack late on Sunday. 3 people were killed and over a dozen others were injured in the blast targeting his convoy.
The 15 people injured in Sunday's blast in Balochistan province continue to be treated at a Karachi hospital on Monday. Relatives of the victims complained of apathy towards the wounded from the part of hospital authorities. The remote control blast struck the city of Hub, some 415 miles from provincial capital Quetta, when Salman Hussein's convoy was passing through it. Though Hussein escaped unhurt, a number of his security personnel and locals suffered injuries. Though no groups have claimed responsibility for the attack so far, southwestern Balochistan has for decades been the hub of a separatist insurgency. A number of armed insurgent groups operating in the region have regularly targeted Pakistan army personnel and government officials against what they call the illegal occupation of their homeland.
Bangladesh is set to verify the nationality of the trafficking victims rescued by Myanmar. Over 200 migrants were detained by Myanmar authorities last week.
A delegation from Bangladesh departed for Myanmar on Monday to verify the nationality of the victims. The 11-member team will verify whether the migrants belong to Bangladesh in light of government's recent announcement of bringing back Bangladeshi victims who are now adrift in the sea. Myanmar's navy had discovered 2 Thai trafficking boats off the coast of Rakhine, one carrying migrants and the other empty on Thursday. In the first ever drive, Myanmar immigration officials in Mongdo on Friday began registering the 208 rescued migrants whom they claimed were Bangladeshis. The saved refugees also included at least 8 Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar. Hundreds of thousands of Rohingya and Bangladeshis have left their homes in what has become the largest regional sea migration since the end of the Vietnam War. According to a UN estimate, some 25,000 migrants have fallen victim to traffickers who lured them with the promise of better life in a foreign land this year alone. Thousands are believed to be adrift at the seas after countries like Malaysia and Thailand denied them permission to land. Myanmar has been facing international criticism for not doing enough to help the illegal immigrants, despite most of them being the Rohingya Muslims who fled religious persecution in the Buddhist majority country. The Rohingyas, regardless of living in Myanmar for generations, are considered as Bangladeshi migrants and haven't even been recognized as legitimate citizens till date.
The Indian government is planning to ask Pakistan to freeze the assets of 3 of its most wanted fugitives and to act on the trio who are accused of being involved in the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks.
New Delhi is planning to ask for Islamabad's help to freeze the funds and assets of fugitive mafia don Dawood Ibrahim, Hafiz Saeed and Zakir Rahman Lakhvi. The trio has been listed as terrorists by the Indian government and they are also on the UN Security Council's Al-Qaeda sanctions list. That makes it mandatory for the Pakistan government to impose a ban on their financial assets, travel and arms transfer. The Indian government has yet to communicate its decision via diplomatic channels, but it is hoping Islamabad would cooperate.
भारत ही नहीं, सारी दुनिया इस हकीकत को जानती है कि आतंकवाद के लिए जिम्मेदार कौन है और बराबर हम लोगों ने पाकिस्तान से ये अपील की है कि आतंकवाद को रोकने में वो पूरी तरह से मदद करें, क्योंकि आज पाकिस्तान को भी उसी आतंकवाद के संकट से गुजरना पड़ रहा है.
While both Saeed and Lakhvi are known to be living freely in Pakistan, there has been speculation over Dawood's whereabouts over the years. Despite Islamabad's repeated denials, India believes the key conspirator behind the 1993 Mumbai serial blast is hiding somewhere in Pakistan. Indian intelligence agencies have said they had traced calls in recent months from Dawood to confirm his presence in Pakistan. Some defense analysts say more needs to be done by Islamabad to stop such individuals.
What will happen by seizing the properties? The countries which are supporting Hafiz, Saeed and Dawood and Lakwi, etc., those countries will continue supporting. By seizing the property is not enough. And there are a lot other steps which have to be taken, which will pressurize Pakistan to take further action.
Some Indian politicians have accused its neighbour of sheltering fugitives and sponsoring cross-border terrorism. Therefore, India's request is set to put Pakistan in a tough spot. Avneet Arora for South Asia Newsline in New Delhi.
At least 5 people were killed and over 60 others injured in a suicide bomb attack in Afghanistan's Zabul province on Monday. The bombing was targeted at the provincial council's office in capital Kalat. Several council members are said to have been wounded as the assailant blew up his explosives-laden truck at the entrance of the building. Though no group has claimed responsibility of the attack, the incident comes amid escalating violence by Taliban as part of its spring-summer offensive, including a surge in targeting government buildings in the recent weeks. It was the same day a month back as quake hit Nepal struggles to come to terms with the harsh reality of the disaster. It still bears the horrific brunt in the aftermath of the catastrophe. Here is a report.
Huddled in a Kathmandu monastery, residents on Monday clutched to scriptures and lamps trying to cope with the torrent that struck the Himalayan nation the same day a month ago. Frantic pilgrims at the Bodhnath Stupa chanted hymns while praying for peace in the nation and minds of people. April's monster temblor and its aftershocks turned a valley renowned for its beauty into a desolate graveyard, showering the country with rocks and debris.
And we as MDers pray for the well-being of all the victims of the remote areas, because there is no any relief materials able to carry to those remote places. So we have to pray for them.
More than 8,600 people have lost their lives since the 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit Nepal on April 25th, followed by a major aftershock on May 12th, destroying nearly 500,000 houses and leaving thousands of people without food or water. While the country remains perilously unstable with the risk of landslides from ongoing aftershocks, it has forced thousands to leave their homes and camp out in open. Even though life is slowly limping back to normalcy, around Kathmandu's Darbar Square, buildings around the UNESCO site still stand badly damaged, with most of the shops remaining closed in the areas which once bustled with tourists. Survivors still live in fear 1 month after the quake.
नर्मल त के भन्ने आज पनि अब 3 बजे गयो भन्छ हैन त्यो नर्मल फिल त खास भा छैन डर त अझै पनि लागिराछ हामीलाई अब सधैं अब डरे राखेर बस्ने कुरो त भएन जान्न त पर्यो बच्चाहरुको चाहिँ अब त भविष्यको कुरा छ हैन बच्चाहरु डराउँछन् जान मान्दैनन् त्यही भएर हामी यो टुडी खेलमा बसिरहेछौं भन्नु पर्यो
Hollywood actor Susan Sarandon also visited the quake-hit nation over the weekend in a bid to draw attention to the disaster.
I'm very eager to go back to the United States and explain to people there that, yes, there has been an enormous amount of damage, as we've seen on the news, but that there is also an enormous amount of movement to rebuild.
Residents in Sindhupal Chowk district, which reported the most number of deaths, have started the long task of clearing debris and salvaging what they can. Nepal's government has estimated the reconstruction cost of $7 billion, which is a third of the country's GDP.
Over 500 people have died in India, which remains under the grip of an acute heat wave. While temperatures soar above 45 degrees Celsius at most of the places, residents are having a hard time to cope with the weather condition.
India is reeling under a blistering heat wave that is sweeping across vast swathes, with residents having a troubled time to carry out routine jobs. With the temperatures rising 5 degrees above normal, at least 432 people have reportedly died in the worst hit states of southern Andhra Pradesh and Telangana alone. In Hyderabad, that recorded a maximum of 43 degrees over the weekend, residents said it was unbearable.
And we have never seen this kind of weather in Hyderabad. Before it was less, but in today's days, and today it's more high. In Hyderabad, before it was not like this.
In central India too, life was thrown out of gear as the scorching heat made routine works difficult. In provincial capital Bhopal, those sweltering out in the sun took to scarves to avoid the dreadful weather. Juice vendors are doing brisk business as people are resorting to drinks to beat the heat.
गर्मी गाड़ी पे चलते हैं तो पूरा गर्मी इतनी लगती है कि पूछो पूरा बदन ऐसा लगता है जैसे जल रहा है वो गर्मी काफी पड़ रही है.
The otherwise bustling banks of river Ganges in holy city Varanasi also bore a deserted look as people kept away from venturing out. In western Jaipur too, tourists are facing the heat as they are finding it difficult to stay out and go for sightseeing.
I sweat a lot. That's the biggest key. I drink a lot of water, I stay very hydrated, and I stay inside from about 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock, well, 2 o'clock. And so I only see the tourist sites from like 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 and 3 o'clock until nighttime. It's the only way I can survive.
The El Nino weather phenomena that has brought the heat wave with its dry spell is set to continue for coming weeks. Weather officials have said the temperatures will come down with the arrival of monsoons, which is set to hit India's southern Kerala coast on May 30th.
A jubilant wave spread across Pakistan as cricket fans rejoiced their team's victory over Zimbabwe to clinch the first international tournament held in the country in 6 years. Many also felt that the tournament's success will only encourage more teams to tour Pakistan.
They came in thousands. They flaunted their team's colours and they gushed holding the national flags. Braving the scorching heat, thousands of cricket buffs converged in eastern Lahore as a jam-packed Gaddafi Stadium witnessed the two 2020 matches between Pakistan and Zimbabwe on Friday and Saturday. Pakistan, which hosted its first international cricket tournament in 6 years, defeated its opponents in both the matches to win the series comfortably. Many expressed happiness over the game returning to the cricket-crazy country.
I hope कि पाकिस्तान अच्छा परफॉर्म करे. हमें बड़ी खुशी है कि पाकिस्तान में जहाँ क्रिकेट खत्म हुई थी उसी पॉइंट पर दोबारा शुरू हो रही है. तो we are really excited.
Zimbabwe, which became the first test-playing team to tour Pakistan since 2009, was welcomed amid cheers by excited cricket fans. They couldn't thank Zimbabwe any less for breaking the hiatus.
I think आज हमारे अपने जो क्रिकेटर्स हैं वो तो हीरोज़ हैं, लेकिन I think ज़्यादा बड़े हीरोज़ आज और इस पूरा आने वाले हफ्ते में जिम्बाब्वे के प्लेयर्स हैं और उनकी टीम है कि वो यहाँ आई है और the cricket is coming back.
The two games were played under unprecedented safety arrangements. The stadium and surrounding areas were guarded by thousands of security personnel to avoid any untoward incident. Zimbabwe team also expressed happiness over the positive response from Pakistan.
I think it's fantastic. I think the crowd is fantastic. I think the pitch is fantastic. The outfield is immaculate. The food, everything has been absolutely outstanding for us.
The ongoing tour of Zimbabwe ended Pakistan's nearly 6 years of international isolation following a terror attack on a Sri Lankan team bus in 2009. The strike had left 7 people dead and injured 6 Lankan players. Zimbabwe, which began its Pakistan tour last week, will also play 3 one-day matches beginning on Tuesday.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude the top stories once again. India to ask Pakistan to freeze assets of Hafiz, Saeed and Dawood Ibrahim. Reconstruction next challenge as Nepal prays to mark 1 month of deadly earthquake. And India reels under acute heat wave as death toll crosses 500. Now our viewers can watch the show on southasianewsline.com. You can also visit us on facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.